David, tell us a little bit
Hey,
about who you are, man.
hey everyone, David Weiss. I am here representing Replayz, but I also work for Outreach. I also am a member of the Sales Rebellion as their mad scientist. And then I run my own podcast called Psych and Sales, and I just spend pretty much my entire life trying to help the sales community sell better, have better process, as well as better mental health as they are going about their sales journey. So thank you for having me and excited for the conversation.
Love it. Néhémie.
Awesome. I'm a recent graduate from Uvaro. Go team. I've just recently hired as SDR for a survey software place called Voxco out here in Montreal, hitting a lot of different verticals. Me specifically, I'm right now doing businesses. So happy to be here.
Awesome, man. Tab.
Hey, I'm Tabitha Cavanagh. I'm the VP of Talent Strategy for Something New, and I specialize in recruiting high-level sales and marketing leadership positions. So I love being here. I've immersed myself in the sales community, and I love every second of it, and such wonderful people. So I'm glad to be here, and can't wait to drag Calvin through the ringer.
Patrick.
Yeah, my name's Patrick Downs. I'm the sales trainer at PandaDoc. I'm a man of many lives and faces. Some may call me the modern day Johnny Blaze, the modern day Rod Serling. You can call me maybe Tawny. I got a lot of names. You can call me whatever you want, but I'm excited to help you today, Kel.
I think you're Amy Quick today too.
Oh, I'm also Amy Quick. I work at Fortnite, and I'm going to give you some e-bucks.
All right. Well, before I hand it over to Calvin, I'm Francois Bourdeau. By day, I work at Encore Business Solutions. By night, I work with these crazy folks trying to just help folks. And quick shout out and thanks to Replayz for being a sponsor today. And Calvin, the mic is yours, man. So
all right, yeah, I mean, I'll do a quick little intro. So got to give a shout out to Rev Genius. Got to meet some of the founders. 3 of us met up in person, or 4 of us actually met up in person. So I'm actually heading up there, the mentorship program. We're about to launch that first group on Monday. I am also an alumni advisor for Pi Sigma Epsilon. Got to give a shout out there where there's like 70 chapters. So I helped co-found the chapter at Bloomsburg University. So it's just trying to help students in college actually be aware that there is a career path in sales out there, and exposing them to sales, marketing, and management, and really helping them do role plays like this. So excited to be a part of this. And then of course, I just started as an AE over at Concert Finance, and I've been in the role for 3 weeks. This is the end of week 3.
awesome. And today we're going to do kind of like a discovery call scenario. So we're going to pick, or somebody can volunteer who wants to be, I guess, your victim, that you're calling into. We know you're having the real with Patrick already. So I say let's pick on Dave. I think David is certainly capable of being a great buyer. He looks like he's ready to buy today. And I guess, Calvin, maybe you want to give some context of typically how people would either, find you, or you find them, and then go from there, man. The format's super straightforward. You can have that scenario, and then if you want to time out and get some feedback, or if you want live feedback, or if you want to go into persona mode, really, get into that groove and then get some feedback after. Totally up to you.
And Calvin, it may actually help you. I am a former enterprise sales leader. I'm back as an enterprise AE at Outreach, but as of 2 months ago, I was 6 years at ADP, leading a 9-person enterprise team with $12 million annual goals. So if that helps at all, been there, sat in that seat.
Yeah, I actually thought you were still a leader over at Outreach just because of the title too. So a little bit of context.
Keep going.
A little bit of context. So Concert Finance helps sales reps actually get reporting and understand commissions. So a lot of companies out there don't actually even give statements. So this is like a huge issue right now overall, and reps just not understanding their pay. It gets deposited to your bank account, and you're like, I don't know where this came from. Like, I don't know the breakdown, and people have Excel sheets and everything that they're doing the calculations on the side. And then one of the other things is giving real-time feedback. So we have a Slack integration, which allows you to see how you're performing like in real time, as well as how much you're going to be predicted to make. So especially when 50% of your pay is commission, it's really important to understand where that is, especially when you're just budgeting as a human being. You know, you want to be able to understand that, especially as an SDR and just getting started. 50% of your pay can be really impactful. And that's, the main things. And we're really selling the biggest advantage that we've seen in the market is our competitors are really focused on trying to replace Excel. And we're trying to go a step beyond that, because Excel it's not the best when you have a larger team, but it also can get the job done for a smaller team. So we're focused on actually just ridding the world. We like to say we're trying to rid the world of bad comp plans, and our tagline is commission smarter. So we're going to the next step and actually trying to make plan recommendations. Cool. So that's just like a high level. And typically we're speaking to sales ops and finance leaders, and we're starting to be successful also working with high level sales leaders, as well as directly selling into like CROs of companies.
Cool.
So for today, what kind of hat would you like David to be wearing, and what would you like the maybe scenario to be like? He's filled out a form on your website, or you're just like cold calling him. You're like, I know David's got this pain, I'm gonna like solve it.
So I would say not really cold calling yet. I would say because personally, I'm really still focused on trying to figure out the personas, what's really their pains, and focus. I think if you can do an introductory call, then it's okay. Now you can do a cold call where the person has no idea what you do in your company. But I think that's my personal opinion. I don't know. Do you guys all agree? I'd love to hear your input as well. But just on that, like.
Yeah, I mean, if you're 3 weeks in and you're feeling like, hey, like you wouldn't be picking up the cold call today, you'd be, maybe, David has some interest. So this is like that initial intro quasi discovery. Is that kind of what I'm hearing?
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Like, oh, okay, maybe I cold emailed you and you're like, yeah, like sounds interesting, like book time with me.
Okay, so 30-minute initial meeting. Who am I? What's my title?
We could go with, we'll give you director of sales ops.
Sales ops person. Okay, cool.
Are you gonna do that? I wasn't sure if David was gonna do a fake phone when we had one on like 3 weeks ago.
Ring ring.
And she had the fake phone, but then halfway through she put it down, and so the other guy was like, "Is the call over?" She's like, "Oh no, I forgot. It's not a real phone."
Oh, so is your name David, or you are like a Tani again, like Patrick likes to do?
No, David.
Oh, it's David. Okay.
I don't like Dave. I really don't like anything else. Just David.
So not Dave. It has to be David too.
My mother's the only one who gets to call me Dave, and I don't like
wow.
it. She's my mom.
Ooh, so I could test the water. I called you Dave. I was just trying to make a nickname. That'd be a bad way to start a call.
Not a
Dave.
good way to start a call.
What about like Scout?
Whatever floats your boat, brother.
DW?
All right, he's Scout.
DW is occasionally acceptable, but then it goes back to like high school, or no, actually before that, like Duckwing Duck, no, we don't need
Darkwing Duck. Wow. All right.
Wow. Okay.
Floor's yours, buddy. We can take as long as we want for the actual like scenario, and then from there, like I said, we'll get into some feedback.
All right. Ring ring. Like now we're on that call.
Are we on? Can we just be on a Zoom call like normal?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, that makes sense. Okay.
Initial meeting. Hey, Calvin. You. Hi, Calvin. Nice to meet you. I'm David.
Oh, how are we doing today, Scout?
Great.
So, I really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to meet with me today. right here, I personally like would really love to build rapport. So I would have done like a lot of research on this company. So I would like to go in like understanding it enough about that I would fill this in with something I found out about them. So like we had a call with 6 Sense, and I just listened to his Sales Hacker podcast. So I was able to pull context about how he talked about like culture there, and just bringing up something there to kind of break the ice and not make it feel completely cold. So then I would go into I want to be really cognizant of like the amount of time we have today. Just to clarify, do we still do you have a hard stop at 1 o'clock?
I do. Appreciate that.
Okay. Yeah. No, I always hate when calls go over and you have something important coming up after. Really excited to be speaking with you today, David. Really love your company and what you're doing over there. The purpose of the call, I like to say, is I really like to learn more about what you do over at the company and see if there's an opportunity for us to come in and be a resource and help you and X company out. If you see value in this conversation, I'd love to set up another conversation, bring some other leaders in, and possibly do a demo. Does that work for you?
It does. That sounds good.
Great. So just out of curiosity, like what really compelled you to want to take this call today? I know I just sent like a cold email to you.
Being a sales operations person, one of the responsibilities I'm constantly tasked with is evaluating new technologies that could give visibility to our leadership team, make it easier for sellers to do their jobs, and for finance, of course, to pay folks. So what you all are doing is an interesting concept, and just wanted to learn more.
So when you talked about visibility, like what does visibility mean to you and XYZ company?
Yeah, so visibility means to me insight into data. So whether that's leading indicators such as activity-based metrics, lagging indicators such as future state revenue, and then also insight in general to end result. What are people getting paid? Why are they getting paid? How do we help motivate? Because motivation is a leading indicator to success. And to me, paying people is one of the biggest motivators that we have. So to make that easier for them to understand could, fuel, future growth.
Yeah, I think you like nailed it right on the head to like why we exist in the marketplace, and I'm really excited to continue this conversation. When you say you have like insights into the data right now, what does that look like right now? Is it just a high level Salesforce report? What are you pulling on the data that you're giving reps insights to?
Yeah, so we use Outreach because Outreach is the most amazing sales engagement platform on the market.
I agree. I love Outreach.
Highly recommend people look at Outreach. We also do call coaching with Replayz, which is really is important as well. But so we've got our Outreach data. We of course have our Salesforce data, which is very important as well. And then we use Oracle as our system of record as it relates to sales compensation.
Okay, great.
Is that what you're looking for? Or should I expand upon how awesome Outreach is more, or anything else?
I mean, feel free to expand more on what that Oracle system looks like and how you're utilizing that data from Outreach.
Awesome. So when we book revenue, all revenue gets submitted to our finance team through an Excel-based order entry form. That form then gets sent to them. They take all of the details of the form. They then put it into our Oracle system. That Oracle system then tracks the original sale, tracks the audit period of the original sale, which is a year. Then we have a 13-month audit that then will either provide additional commission or take commission away from our sellers based on the positive or negative growth of the account versus what was initially booked. And then we pay sellers with a 30-day lag based on the initial input from that Excel spreadsheet in our data entry team.
Gotcha. When you're saying you're paying them on a 30-day lag, is it on when you actually receive payment? Is it on billing, or is it when the deal is actually closed?
It's on revenue booked.
Okay.
Yeah, so deal closed, yes.
Yeah, so that's awesome. That's like a big recommendation we like to have, because here over at Concert, going a little bit into like why we exist is our founders like 2.5 years ago founded the company based on the fact that they saw other companies were just using the same comp plan all over the place. So when you're talking about like the revenue being booked, one of the biggest important things we like to say is when revenue is being booked, you should pay them as quick as possible. The reps, you don't want to wait to it be the end of the year or the end of the quarter, and then you wait another 30, 60 days. You want to pay reps as quick as possible because you want it to be like a feedback loop. How you were saying you thought commission could be used to motivate reps as well. I'd love to understand like how you're using commission right now to motivate reps.
That's really good question. I mean, I would just say pretty similar to every other organization. They have a target. We have accelerators and decelerators as people, and then we give them visibility to where they stand within those, and then paying them accordingly. So that's pretty much the extent of the motivation. But we also do have a comp calculator that is rudimentary. It's essentially a digitized version of an Excel-based form that they fill out that does accurately reflect accelerators and decelerators, so they can kind of plan for future deals and get themselves excited about things they may close.
So you're saying that comp calculator, is that something reps have? Is that what you were saying?
Yep. So they have access to, through Oracle, they have access to a portal that shows all pay throughout the year, as well as commission they're about to receive based on prior month's bookings. And then they also have access to a digitized Excel-based form through Oracle as a link that they click, pops up, plug in data, and then they can see future state comp.
Okay. And how is that working right now? Are the reps finding that super easy to use?
Yeah, no real challenges there. We don't hear negative feedback. They like just the ability to, have insight there.
Yeah, exactly. I completely agree that that's like one of the very key things is actually just giving reps visibility into what their current pay looks like.
Yep, absolutely.
So, right now it sounds like everything is really going great for you guys in terms of giving, paying on like quickly, like we like to recommend, paying 30 days after that deal is closed, as well as giving reps visibility into, what they're paying. So I'd love to get into a little bit, like how are the teams currently performing right now?
Up until COVID, we were doing fantastic. We were, tracking consistent month-over-month performance, tracking ahead of, quarter-over-quarter goals, and we were on track to exceed our year plan. COVID, of course, has disrupted lots of things, so all metrics are down right now. And
how are you adjusting to that in the current climate? Have you lowered quota? What does that look like for your company?
Yeah, we have done a nice job of adjusting quotas, and we're constantly looking in real time to see what needs to be changed. So we're doing a 30-day lag adjustment on quota based on results and trends.
And how are you deciding what makes sense to adjust that quota to?
Yep, based on future state pipeline and previous months performance. So we're trying to make data-driven decisions as much as we can.
Yeah, I really have no idea, because if a company has all these things, it really sounds like you guys have everything set in stone. I would love to say there would be an awesome opportunity for us to continue working together, but you guys are doing everything we like to recommend to a company. You already have something in place. You're giving reps understanding how they're making their money. You're giving them visibility into their pay. You're adjusting quotas. There's, I would have to give you guys like a round of applause, because you're doing everything we would recommend you to do. And I think we can definitely kind of, end the conversation here, and maybe there's an opportunity for us to work together in the future. But I really appreciate the time today, David.
Oh man, I'm disappointed. I wanted to actually see what you guys were doing. So here, let me just pause for a quick second and give you some initial feedback. I always like to teach people the ACE framework, which is appreciate time, confirm time, and then set an agenda. And you did all those things. And then you also did what I consider a half an M, which is a mutual agenda. So you said, does that sound good? To make that M stronger, the mutual agenda stronger, so ACE plus M, is I just want to make sure this is a really good call for you. What would make a good call for you today? And just ask.
That's a amazing point. I know that, and it's just, sometimes in the habit, you just don't do it. That's bravo. Great point.
You allow someone to tell you what you need to essentially do in the call. I mean, it's kind of like, it's a little bit of a layup question, but I like it.
Yeah.
Your discovery questions are really good. You're digging into really important points, and I love that. Eye contact, confidence, cadence, voice tone, acknowledgement, all of those things are absolutely spot on. So those are all Replayz best practices. I'm seeing all of that being done. I mean, nice job, man. 3 weeks in, solid.
And then we had another company too as well that we made a recommendation to reduce quota by 15%. We like to say that that's not necessarily going to be the right solution to lower quota. There's a lot of other things you can do, but somebody lowered quota by 15%, which made quota then feel more attainable. And then the whole team on averaged out to then bring in another 15% in close one revenue it was a team of 20 reps. And the following 4 months, they produced 15% more in revenue across the board.
So let me make a couple points on that, and then I'm going to be quiet, put my phone on mute, and give it back to everybody else. But couple things. So showing would be helpful, but I get where you're coming from. Yep. Customer stories would be helpful. Yep. Best practice in a conversation like this, share 1 to 2 to 3. And then the last piece, and you didn't share what you just shared to me. So one question you didn't ask me is, hey, it sounds like you're doing a lot of things right, but how much time does that take you and your folks to do? And if somehow you can help me do what I'm doing, but be more productive, save me time doing it, now all of a sudden there's a financial value to me. So think about the metrics that your organization impacts. For me, time is without question. Saving sales ops people time, that's a metric. There are other metrics that you guys are going to impact to build a business case for change. Ask those metric-based questions. That will pique curiosity. That will then give you data to build a business case from, and tell customer stories. So it's taking you this much time to do this. We have another customer just like you that takes this much time to do it. How much time would that save you? Oh, it'd save you this much time. Well, is that of interest to you? And asking those business and metric-based questions allow you to have a business conversation around improvement. So that's it. I'm going back on mute.
No, nice. I think you nailed it again too, is the customer stories is, being at a very early stage company, we have 12 employees. So this is all the things we're actually continuously working on, is getting more in-depth customer stories. Is again, like, those are 2 really good stories. And, I just heard another one yesterday where they said that they compared our 2 products. They said our 2 products are equivalent, but they felt like we were actually going to work with them, and we were really going to be advisors and actually help them out. And they said that we just liked you guys, candidly, we liked you more. We felt like you were going to actually advise us. And there was nothing wrong with the other team. We really liked the other team. We really liked the other product. But again, I think it's the whole movement towards, anybody can do their research online with G2 Crowd and all these other things right now. If you're not truly an advisor, like what's the point of a sales rep? Like if you can't tell like what is better about your competitors and what's better about you and be transparent, about what's really going to be a good fit or not, anybody can do their own research about like features and benefits. It's the consultative part that is really where I think it's key to just come in as a salesperson and be able to tell that story of your product, your company, and how we can really help you.
All right. Anybody else want to jump in? Néhémie, yeah, you go first, my friend.
Yeah, I don't know if I can add much more than what David said. It's hard to beat that. I thought it was a great job. I think you definitely came in attempting to bring a lot of value for sure from the get-go. Your discovery questions were outstanding. I would emphasize on that same point that David mentioned as far as the data visualization point. It seems like, in my perspective, I'm thinking if you have the time to have somebody in front of you, I think you have to show something. I think that the being able to end it, I wouldn't say it was abrupt, but it was obviously you felt like, well, look, you got me. So it was kind of that feeling, which I totally understand. I can totally empathize with. But I'm just thinking, me personally, like if I have somebody, you made it that far, that person gave you that kind of time, I would hope you got, something to show, give it some time to let him figure it out. Like, at least I have you here. Want to see some things. I would definitely emphasize the customer stories point. Definitely makes a lot of sense. And I really like the feedback that Dave gave as far as asking metric-based questions. Because even if everything that you have, they're already got to figure it out, it does make sense to be like, okay, well, you guys are awesome. You're great. You're fantastic. But maybe it's taking a while. So I'm me personally, I'm definitely going to consider that moving forward for myself, asking metric-based questions. Because at that point, maybe I don't have anything that great to add to what you guys are already doing, but maybe I can make you guys a bit more efficient, which I think would still be worth a financial incentive. So I agree with David on a lot of that.
Yeah, I agree completely. And this is the thing too, we actually started talking a little bit more internally about it too, is again, it's many of the times we haven't had conversations that people are doing all these things. So we haven't really had to go, okay, well, what about all the time that's being wasted? But we actually do have customers, again, that like can get up and running like fully in under a week, but then competitors, it takes months. Right. Like again, I have a story too, like our CEO and tried to implement one of the massive players out there that existed in the space. And they tried implementing it twice at their previous company, twice. And it took 6 to 9 months, and they got a refund both times because they couldn't set it up correctly.
Yeah, I mean, so that's clearly an advantage that obviously that's clearly something advantageous for you to bring up. So I think obviously David's feedback was amazing, so I would just add that. But great job though, awesome job.
Tab, are you gonna be the bad cop?
I wish. I mean, damn, David, you freaking took all the good stuff. No, but you had amazing advice. And I don't want to beat a dead horse, but Calvin, you did a really great job in the beginning. I was like, yes. I wrote down like everything along the way, from when you started to building rapport, to clarifying time constraints, to complimenting what he's doing and what the company's doing, and learning a little bit more about what he's doing, setting kind of an agenda and clear expectations for sort of what's to come. And again, I think as we talk through this, things that you're uncovering that would have been really great to include in that first part, like some of those stories, and talking about like being really transparent about where your company's at. And, because I've recruited for healthcare companies that have tons of competitors, but they're doing things a bit differently. And they have some really important differentiators, but their product stability is maybe at 30% when they want it to be at 100, but they're working on that. So I think taking your customer on a journey, taking your client on a journey, and letting them know, like, this is where we are, these are our intentions and where we are, planning to be, and making it a very collaborative process. Like, listen, the clients that we bring on right now are going to be vital because we're working together to really make this better and use this in the way that you want to be using it. making sure that we're, capitalizing on that. Like David said, with time constraints and things, like what can you give back to them? So when I was writing down some questions, and then you kind of did come back around to it, but when you were talking about Oracle and asking, I think go into asking him like what's missing. And I know he had said, well, our reps are like pretty okay with what's going on right now. But I would have said like, well, how I would have maybe tried to talk about, so knowing some of your main competitors, how Concert will be different from Oracle. If it's not already, there yet, talk about how, again, your intentions. Ask David what he would change. Hey, if you had to dig into Oracle, like what would you change? If you could change anything, what would you change? And leave it super open-ended. Let him give his feedback. The more you get people talking, maybe he'll realize, oh yeah, you know what? Like Sally Sue, rep over here, did tell me that this was kind of annoying, or I did notice that this took a little bit longer and that kind of sucks, or whatever, you'll get him talking. So yeah, I mean, that was it. Otherwise at the end, I was like, no, don't give up so easily. So I think even if your company isn't providing you with, if you can't do a demo right now, you're saying if you, don't have like a deck or something to walk through, make something on your own. I mean, obviously like,
So
compliance or whatever.
I mean, I've shown Pat too, and I think those are like amazing points. And this is something where I'm really struggling with is I know we have good nuggets, and as I'm crafting this story for myself, like we've gone through calls where, okay, CEO's doing the pitch or somebody else on our team, like RevOps. Okay, like I love how immediately after the call, we immediately after the call do feedback. Okay, like what do we do right? What do we think is next steps? Like how do we see the process moving forward? And where do we mess up? Like what do we do wrong? Okay, well, we're speaking to a CRO. We didn't ask, he didn't have the pain. He saw the future and we set up next steps. But it's like kind of far out. So, okay, he might not have the pain, but these other people in the company, the sales ops and finance, could really have a pain. So, and then looping in these stories of, how do you set tiers? Like the best way to set tiers and why that's important. I could have done like definitely a story in there. Then using any of these customer stories is key as well. So like you said too, is the pain that people are currently facing, I think is key, where you can talk about, okay, well, we typically find that, I had this written down too, is like, 3 things people come into conversations, but until you keep practicing, it's really hard, to get it down. Is okay, typically when people come to speak with us, there's 3 reasons people want to speak to us. Is they're looking to kind of replace Excel sheets. They're looking to actually give reps statements into, what their pay is. And then 3, like you're looking to improve rep performance and also just be able to build better comp plans possibly that could motivate your reps. So out of those 3, is there anything in particular that really resonates with you?
Exactly. Yeah. Give them things that you're seeing from what, like the other people that you're talking to in the market, common things. I could talk about that all day long. And then, yeah, give them, say, did any of these resonate with you? Are you facing any of these issues? If not, maybe try to get them to surface, something else that they are facing that's an issue, if one of those isn't an option. And then I was just thinking too, like, I wonder if there's a way for you to survey, like anonymously or whatever, their current employees and what they think. So as part of like your pre-vetting of a prospect, I'm wondering if there's a way to do that.
So this is actually like, I love that you just said that, because this is one of the things I'm really trying to work on with our company is selling bottom up, is, the importance of that's like how Salesforce and HubSpot just blew up, especially when you're selling to sales reps. Sales reps will spill their beans and like tell the story to like how things are. But the hard part as well is that's future pipeline. That's long-term. Like this is something we're talking about internally, is we need to focus also on like some short-term things, but then we can also start doing that for long-term, because then I could go into a conversation. So say I'm selling into PandaDoc, like, oh, I heard from you, like, not even necessarily mentioning, I heard from Pat, like, in sales enablement, but look, I know all this context already. When you're going to the CRO, VP of sales, VP of finance, I already know this is how many reps you have. This is how many reps are hitting quota. I heard from 5 different people that they wish they had more transparency into their current pay, and they feel like the comp plan is demotivating because the goals are too high. Let's talk about how we might be able to, make this work, like, and help your company out.
Yeah, I just think, like, so on the recruitment side, one thing that we do that is so helpful is before we sign a contract, before we tell anybody what, we're charging for our fee, anything like that, we have a process that is like a deep dive. I mean, it's an hour call with like every possible stakeholder that needs to be involved, where we're asking questions. We're, getting them invested first. And then on the back end, we're like, okay, if you see value in all of this, then here's the agreement, here's the fee based on, but we need to have those conversations first. So that's why I'm wondering if you guys were able to get with a CRO or whoever, is in charge that you're looking to talk to, and you're like, hey, listen, I know we don't know each other yet. I know we're still, kind of going through this process, but would you be willing to give your employees a quick 3-minute survey to see how they really, truly feel about what you're currently using? And then have that data up front, and I'm not sure exactly, this is all happening right now in real time, and I'm just trying to throw things out there, and then being able to be like, listen, have them do this 3-minute survey, then you'll know, like, maybe they don't want to tell you right now that they hate Oracle or that they hate Excel or whatever, but you pull that out, so you're immediately adding value to let them know something that can be changed. And if all the feedback comes back great, then great. Like you said, maybe there's not a space at this time to work with a company. But if not, then maybe you've uncovered something, and then you'll be able to speak to all those pain points in an upcoming meeting. So do the survey first before you even like pitch anything, or like maybe a little pitch, but then like do the survey and then do everything on the back end to really tie all that the first like survey results into that. So I don't know if that makes sense. Brainstorming,
I'd love to continue this conversation like after this as well. So we actually did with Modern Sales Pros. So again, this is like, we're trying to think about things in a more thoughtful way, instead of just, we want to replace Excel. So that's where we're talking like big picture. We did a report with Modern Sales Pros with over 9,000 people, and we got data showing that like on a scale of like 1 to 5, you could see how happy is CS with their actual comp plans, how happy is AEs, how happy is SDRs, and I can share that data. And if you look at pretty much across the board, if it's a scale of 1 to 5, they're all generally at like just above a 3. So it's like, okay, well, why isn't it at a 4, or why isn't it between a 4 and a 5? Because that's where you like want it to ideally be. I think you're never going to get it to that ideal point of a 5, but if reps are actually really happy with their comp plan, especially when it's 50% of their pay, you're going to be bringing in more revenue. And it just like, I think it's a water flow effect to like having a better culture, better sales team, everybody like wanting to be there.
Yeah. It's just, I think instead of using like numbers, like I would want maybe use a number, let people choose a number, but then like have a space where they can just write, like free form, because those numbers essentially mean nothing. Sure, you might know, hey, your team is dissatisfied, but you don't know why. You know what I mean? Like, and I think the why.
So we're doing another survey right now. We just did a webinar with Sales Hacker and KD, and we basically talked about mindfulness and how setting the right mind and having goal setting is like very important in achieving goals. Like we kind of talk about basically just, oh, you should be a top performer and hit this quota and smash goals and get President's Club, and that's just like the sales vibe that a lot of companies, kind of instill, I think, in the sales team, but it's about setting like micro goals and really being thoughtful. So this is like one of the things we're about to launch a survey as well through Sales Hacker on how do you, like, does your current comp plan motivate you to perform? How do you feel about your current comp plan? And there's a lot more questions involved, but definitely interested in like your guys' thoughts and like key questions that you think could be asked, because we're like, it's about to launch next week and we're trying to figure out and critique it so that we have the best questions asked. And obviously it's really important to have data to back it up, but I think like you just said too, is there's sometimes it's important to also have like stories to like, 10, 15 people all said the same thing. And that's where it's great to have it more contextual to the company versus just overall. But I wonder if we asked like one open-ended question, if we could get like a bunch of bullets, and then it's like, well, came up 100 times out of like the 1,000 people we asked, 100 people said this like along the same thing where we wish this certain thing.
Yeah, exactly. So I think you get what I'm saying, but now I'm going to turn it over to somebody else, see if anybody has anything else to add.
Well, I'm just looking at the clock. We're going to be up to our hour here, and I don't know if everybody's got a hard stop, but I want to hear anything from Patrick, even though he's already been on the other side of the seat with Calvin once.
Yeah, what's up, Calvin? How you doing, baby?
What's up, man?
Not much, man. Just chilling, listening to you guys. First of all, I just want to say how good of a storyteller you are, man. Like, anytime you go into something narrative, it's really strong and it grabs me. And I think when you're telling stories, you have a really good understanding of how long they need to be and when to transition to like a really pointed question. I think that's probably your main strength as well as your tone. But I've definitely seen you get in your head, and I could feel it. Like, it's one of those things where I know when you're getting nervous and it comes out really quickly. And anytime you're talking to go ahead.
I was going to say, do you think it was you just because you have that EQ to be able to tell, or do you think the prospect would be able to tell as well?
I think the prospect probably can be able to tell. I mean, it depends on how much EQ they have, but
yeah,
if you're talking to like a C-level executive like you want to, they're going to be able to tell. Like a CRO will know 100%. But the biggest thing I'll say, man, is like you have some structure, and there was some winning by design structure that David was throwing out, and I think that's great. But you need to get a tighter process, I think, just in general, like that you can apply to any product. Because at the end, I'm actually going to go against the grain on this a little bit. I like that you kind of were honest, but you didn't set an upfront contract to the point of like that you would do that at some point, possibly. Because I use that tactic to get people to tell me, no, I actually do need this thing, right? So I set up at the front, hey, if at any point during this call, you think this is going to be a bad fit for you, are you comfortable letting me know? And then I'll also say, hey, at any point I feel like, from my perspective, I can't help you, are you comfortable with me telling you so? And then I do bring it out. And as long as you set it up at the beginning, you're totally fine. And I've had so many deals that I strip lined like that immediately come back to me and buy. Even when I hang up, they end up coming back and talking to me again. So I think that's really powerful, and it forces the dynamic onto the other person. I happen to like sell like I buy, and I hate when people try to convince me of things. I think a lot of people hate it. So I tend to sell from a negative where I don't try to force anything on anyone, and I'm super honest. And I sometimes might be like actually overly negative to prompt a different response. That works a lot with certain buyer personas, specifically a lot of sales personas when I'm selling to VP of sales. That technique works really well. So I'd recommend trying that on a little bit, but overall, I think your discovery questions are super good, and just focusing on structure and controlling your kind of feeling of confidence and nervousness as much as you can. Obviously, that's never going to be 100% controllable, but getting into a different mindset when you're going to go into a call, especially if you're in front of a lot of people.
This was the first pitch I've done, by the way. So
it was amazing.
Yeah,
like,
we're
we
super
haven't.
proud of you.
Next week is when we're planning on actually starting to do more mock pitches. So like this was a good as much as I hate you for, saying, Pat, you got to go on Friday. I think it's like, it was, regardless, it's always good practice as many times. And it's always really important to be getting as much feedback as possible. And, the more people you can get feedback from, the better. And that's why next week I have multiple calls with sales leaders that I'm just trying to get from their perspective to would this resonate with you? What else do you think I should add? Here's some other context. Okay, cool. You don't think this is a good sell at all. Great. Okay. On to the next person. Why don't you think it would be valuable for your not trying to sell them, just trying to get feedback.
Yeah, the only thing I would add, because I just want to be cognizant of the time for everyone, is because everybody had superb feedback. To Dave's point, right at the end, I would have said okay, maybe if your reps were to rate the way they get their reporting out of Oracle, do you think it'd be a 10 out of 10? And then if David was honest, he'd probably be probably more a 6. Then he'd be okay, can we drill into that? Why is it inconvenient? So he a lot of people don't want to admit too much that everything is broken, but if you kind of start to pry a little bit, then they can be well, actually, yeah, the reps have a tool, but they hate it. They never use it. Why? Well, because it's impossible to use. Anyway, I think I'm just piling on to a lot of the things people added, but yeah, I mean, for the first pitch, bud, and the fact that you were saying earlier that this piece isn't ready, but it's going to be ready at the end of the month. Well, ultimately, even if you were starting a buying cycle with somebody today, 2 weeks is not far.
Yeah,
and we have something half baked that's only ready in 12 months. Yeah,
we have 3 other things that are valuable too, that by the end of this month, we just had an all hands right before this. That's how I ran late. It was they're going to be done, and it's really good to hear.
Awesome. Okay, man. Well, I like to try and keep the agenda tight, and I know it's Friday, so people got other stuff, but thanks everybody for making time.
Yeah, make sure you guys watch me torture myself at 5:00 today.
Eating hot stuff.
Yeah. Wait, David, did you do it yet, or you're on the docket for later? I can't remember.
For Dooley?
Yeah.
Bro, I did it.
Yeah, well, you were the first one, right? And then Dale did it after you?
Watch my face melt off. Dude.
You guys are crazy. Have they had a girl do it yet?
I don't know.
Amy's on the docket. I don't know that any girl has done it yet, though. I think they have called. Are you volunteering? Should I tell Mark you volunteered?
I don't
That's
know.
What I just heard. Wait.
That's what I heard. Yes.
Okay. Cool.
Listen,
I'll tell Mark.
We'll see. Listen, I had colon cancer, so spicy and colon cancer don't always go together. Just saying, you guys, keeping it real.
Appreciate that about you, Tab.
That's a great segue to wrap it up, I guess. But yeah, have a superb Friday, guys, and thanks for making time.
All right.
Thanks, everybody.
Cheers,
Good job, Kevin.
Have a good weekend, guys. Bye.